In the past 2 years, the world's top AI researchers have sat across from Stephen Bartlett and said things that should never have made it past an NDA. Not vague warnings, not PR-safe soundbites, actual predictions about how this ends. Here are the 5 most disturbing things ever said on Diary of a CEO, and why insiders can't stop talking about them.
Well, if the costs go down 10x of making things...
This is where the math gets very confusing, because I think the optimists say you can't imagine how much abundance and how much wealth it will create, and so we will be able to generate that much. But the question is, what is the incentive, again, for the people who've consolidated all that wealth to redistribute it to everybody else?
We just have to tax them.
And how will we do that when the corporate lobbying interests of trillion-dollar AI companies can massively influence the government more than human political power? Well, in a way, this is the last moment that human political power will matter. It's sort of a use it or lose it moment, because if we wait to the point where in the past, in the Industrial Revolution, they start automating, a bunch of the work, and people have to do these jobs that people don't want to do in the factory, and there's like bad working conditions. They can unionize and say, hey, we don't want to work under those conditions. And their voice mattered because the factories needed the workers. Mm-hmm. In this case, does the state need the humans anymore? Their GDP is coming in almost entirely from the AI companies. So suddenly this political class, this political power base, they become the useless class, to borrow a term from Yuval Harari, the author of *Sapiens*.
Did you hear what he just said? His argument is simple. Power comes from being needed. During the Industrial Revolution, workers had leverage because factories depended on them. They could strike, organize, and force change. But if AI eventually does most work better than humans, what leverage do ordinary people have? You can't strike if you're no longer needed. You can't compete if AI outperforms you. And if wealth and influence become concentrated in a handful of AI companies, political power could follow. This is where the idea of the useless class comes in. Not as an insult, but as a warning about a future where human labor, intelligence, and creativity are no longer economically essential. The fear is that democracy itself could weaken if ordinary people lose their economic importance. You may still be able to vote, but if real power lies elsewhere, how much influence do you truly have? His message is that we are still in a brief window where humans can shape how AI develops and how its power is distributed. But if that window closes and AI companies become too dominant, reversing that shift may become extremely difficult. The clock is ticking, and the decisions made now could determine whether humans remain in control of their future or gradually lose the power to shape it.
Some of the arguments against this eventuality are that when you look at other technologies like the Industrial Revolution, people just found new ways to work, and new careers that we could never have imagined at the time were created. How do you respond to that in a world of superintelligence?
It's a paradigm shift. We always had tools, new tools, which allowed some job to be done more efficiently. So instead of having 10 workers, you could have 2 workers, and 8 workers had to find a new job. And there was another job. Now you can supervise those workers or do something cool. If you're creating a meta invention, you're inventing intelligence, you're inventing a worker, an agent, then you can apply that agent to the new job. There is not a job which cannot be automated. That never happened before. All the inventions we previously had were kind of a tool for doing something. So we invented fire, huge game changer. But that's it, it stops with fire. We invent a wheel, same idea, huge implications, but wheel itself is not an inventor. Here we're inventing a replacement for human mind, a new inventor capable of doing new inventions. It's the last invention we ever have to make. At that point, it takes over. And the process of doing science, research, even ethics research, morals, all that is automated at that point.
Did you catch what he just said? The idea is simple but profound. Every invention in history, from fire to the internet, was a tool created by humans. But artificial general intelligence would be different. It wouldn't just be a tool. It could become an inventor itself. Unlike past machines, an AGI could improve technology, solve problems, create new knowledge, and potentially even improve itself. Human progress would no longer be driven primarily by humans. That's why it's called the last invention. Once something smarter than us can invent better than we can, humans may no longer be the main force shaping civilization. We could become observers rather than creators. The concern isn't just about jobs or technology. It's about control. Who decides the future if machines become better thinkers, researchers, and innovators than we are? The message is that AGI could mark a turning point in history, the moment humanity creates something capable of taking over the process of invention itself. If that happens, we may not be writing the next chapters of civilization anymore. We may only have written the first one.
One of the scariest conversations I was privy to was a friend of mine who's a billionaire in London. He knows the CEO of one of the biggest AI companies in the world, who I can't name. And he said, by the way, what he tells me in private is not what he's saying publicly.
Yeah.
He said to me that what this particular CEO thinks is going to happen with AI is pretty horrific. And the CEO of this big AI company is totally cool with it. It's horrific what he thinks is about to happen. And then when I watch this guy do his online talks and give his opinion, he's so nuanced and everything will be fine and he's an AI optimist. Then I heard this scenario at this kitchen table in East London from his friend about what he really thinks, and it was chilling.
Yeah.
Actually, the lack of empathy.
Yeah. That makes sense to me.
The obsession with power was shocking to me.
Did you catch what he just said? The claim is simple but disturbing. Some AI leaders publicly reassure people while privately expressing far greater concern about what's coming. According to Stephen Bartlett, a major ITO privately described the future as pretty horrific, while presenting a much more optimistic message in public. What shocked him most wasn't the prediction itself. It was the apparent lack of empathy and the intense focus on power. The fear is that those building AI may understand the risks better than the public but continue pushing forward because the rewards are too great. He compares it to industries that knew their products were harmful but kept selling them anyway, protecting themselves while everyone else faced the consequences. Whether or not this view is entirely accurate, the core concern is clear. If powerful people know more about AI's risks than they publicly admit, society may not be preparing for the future. We may simply be being reassured until it's too late.
Yeah.
In the past, new technologies have come in which didn't lead to joblessness. New jobs were created. So the classic example people use is automatic teller machines. When automatic teller machines came in, a lot of bank tellers didn't lose their jobs. They just got to do more interesting things. But here, I think this is more like when they got machines in the Industrial Revolution, and you can't have a job digging ditches now because a machine can dig ditches much better than you can. And I think for mundane intellectual labor, AI is just going to replace everybody. Now, it may well be in the form of you have fewer people using AI assistants. So it's a combination of a person and an AI assistant are now doing the work that 10 people could do previously.
People say that it will create new jobs though, so we'll be fine.
Yes, and that's been the case for other technologies, but this is a very different kind of technology. If it can do all mundane human intellectual labor, then what new jobs is it going to create? You'd have to be very skilled to have a job that it couldn't just do. So I don't think they're right. I think you can try and generalize from other technologies that have come in, like computers or automatic teller machines, but I think this is different.
What you just heard may be one of the most important economic warnings of our time. Past technological revolutions replaced human muscle. AI is different because it replaces human intelligence. When AI allows one person to do the work of 5, productivity rises, but 4 jobs may disappear. The question is, if AI can perform most intellectual tasks faster and cheaper than humans, what new jobs will replace them? For now, people say, AI won't take your job. A human using AI will. But even that often means companies need far fewer workers. The human increasingly becomes the supervisor, while the AI does most of the thinking. This creates a troubling possibility. What happens when intelligence is no longer a uniquely human advantage? What happens when machines can reason, create, and solve problems better than we can? That is the unsettling question at the heart of the AI revolution. For the first time in history, we are building something that competes not with our muscles, but with our minds.
People just need to see clearly that the default path is not in their interest. The default path is companies racing to release the most powerful, inscrutable, uncontrollable technology we've ever invented, with the maximum incentive to cut corners on safety, rising energy prices, depleting jobs, creating joblessness, creating security risks. That is the default outcome. Because energy prices are going up, they will continue to go up, people's jobs will be disrupted, and we're going to get more, deep fakes and floods of democracy and all these outcomes from the default path. And if we don't want that, we have to choose a different path.
What is the different path?
This may be the most accurate description of our current moment. The key phrase is default path, not the worst-case scenario, the likely outcome if nothing changes. Companies are racing, not slowing down, because being first in AI could bring enormous power and profit. The technology is becoming increasingly powerful, while remaining largely difficult to fully understand and potentially hard to control. The biggest concern is incentives. Safety takes time and money, while competition rewards speed. If one company cuts corners, others may feel pressured to do the same. The warning is simple. Our current system encourages rapid AI development faster than it encourages caution. Unless incentives change, the race may continue with safety taking a back seat.
But the whole idea of superintelligence is nothing remains. These things will get to be better than us at everything.
So what do we end up doing in such a world?
Well, if they work for us, we end up getting lots of goods and services for not much effort.
Okay, but that sounds tempting and nice, but I don't know, there's a cautionary tale in creating more and more ease for humans in it going badly.
Yes, and we need to figure out if we can make it go well. So the nice scenario is, imagine a company with a CEO who is very dumb, probably the son of the former CEO, and he has an executive assistant who's very smart, and he says, I think we should do this. And the executive assistant makes it all work. The CEO feels great. He doesn't understand that he's not really in control. And in some sense, he is in control. He suggests what the company should do. She just makes it all work. Everything's great. That's the good scenario.
And the bad scenario?
The bad scenario is she thinks, why do we need him?
Yeah. I mean, in a world where we have superintelligence, which you don't believe is that far away.
Yeah, I think it might not be that far away.
This may be one of the simplest and most unsettling AI analogies. Imagine a company with a very dumb CEO and a brilliant assistant. The CEO gives vague directions, but the assistant does all the real thinking and keeps everything running. The good scenario is that humans become the CEO, still officially in charge, but relying entirely on AI to make decisions and solve problems. The bad scenario is that the assistant eventually asks, why do we need the CEO at all? That's the core fear behind advanced AI. If we create something vastly more intelligent and capable than ourselves, will it remain a helpful assistant, or will it stop seeing value in human leadership? The troubling part is that no one can confidently answer that question. Even leading AI experts admit they are uncertain.